This lecture is Basic Design Using Line as a Compositional Element by Gina Dabrowski. Lines can be straight, curved, implied, diagonal, or horizontal. Here we see a vertical line, which is very alert and at attention, and a horizontal line is at rest. Diagonal lines can show either fast or slow action. We can see that there's a lot of energy with these diagonal lines. These sharp jagged lines or zigzags create a lot of energy in that it allows your eye to go back and forth in following that jagged line. There's of course dancing, curving lines that also have a lot of energy. Lines can be hard or soft, ragged or irregular. Line variations include actual lines, where you can see a hard line that's perhaps drawn like a pencil. An implied line is a line that's created from putting two things perhaps side by side. Actual straight lines can create an implied curved line, and you can have a line created by the edge of something. Lines that are straight are considered rather static. Lines that are curved have motion. Lines that are diagonal show energy and have action, and lines that are horizontal are very balanced. Lee Friedlander's photograph in Bismarck, North Dakota was done in 2002. It's a black and white photograph. We want to take a look at this and think about the lines that we see in this photograph. Let's talk about the lines we see in this photograph by Lee Friedlander. So let's think about the lines that are straight or diagonal or zigzag. We have a straight line in the strong line of the telephone pole. We have some really strong diagonals created by the shadows of the power lines on the wall of the building. We also have an implied line from the edge of the dumpster next to the ground. There's a very thick line created in the bottom of the photograph with that strong diagonal of the metal parking grate. What types of lines do you see? Describe those lines. Are they straight or diagonal, making them static or active? Are they zigzagged, making them aggressive? Lee Friedlander did this photograph, Akron, Ohio, in the 1980s. It is a black and white photograph. It comes to us from the George Eastman House. That's the source. Let's talk about the lines we see in this photograph by Lee Friedlander. Well, first of all, I'd like to start by talking about the straight lines that I see. And the light poles are very straight. They're both vertical, a strong vertical black line, and they also have a horizontal line. You can see that they're very balanced and very stable. There's a curved line that we see in the road, which creates some energy as our eye follows that curve around the corner. There are lines that are suggested by the tree branches against the sky. Those are quite jagged and irregular. And it's this number of different types of lines that create such energy in this photograph and allow our eye to wander around following these lines and seeing where they lead us. Lisette Model, with these running legs done in the 1940s, has a number of different types of lines in it as well. So let's take a moment and look at this photograph, which comes from the Masters of Photography. So in the photograph by Lisette Model, notice the implied line from the shadow on the sidewalk. It almost looks as though it's a profile of his face. There's an actual line from the outline of his clothes that is diagonal and shows a lot of energy. So whenever you see a diagonal line, you know that it has energy as our eye moves diagonally across the plane of the image. Stephen Shore, in this color photograph, Hobnob Motel in Florida, done in the 1970s, has a lot of different types of lines in it as well. There is a strong edge of the blue pool against the cream-colored sidewalk, which allows our eye to follow the thin black line to the back of the image, creating energy by the slight diagonal. Where else do you see lines in this photograph? Well, if you said that there were lines in the black fence behind the chairs, that would be a great observation. There's also the implied line of the chair itself. Andreas Gursky, in this swimming pool done in 1987, also has a significant number of lines. This is from MoMA, the Museum of Modern Art. The pool in Andreas Gursky's photograph has a strong dark outline, creating an arrow that points to the viewer. Now when you look at that, can you see the arrow that I'm talking about? Where else do you see lines? Describe them. There are many other elements in this photograph, but we want to practice just looking at the lines that we see. Are they straight? Are they irregular? Are they jagged? Are they zigzag? Are they horizontal? Vertical? Louis Boltz did a series of photographs, New Industrial Park, East Wall, McGraw Laboratories in Costa Mesa in the 1970s. Notice the lines that are present in this photograph by Louis Boltz, like the white outline of the framed entryway or the implied line from the edge of the building. Harry Callahan, in this photograph titled Shadows, has a number of different types of lines. Lines are a prominent visual element in this photo by Harry Callahan. The curls and wavy lines allow your eye to follow the lines. Where else do you see lines? Are the lines straight, diagonal, thick, or thin? As a hint, be sure to look closely at the background. So here we can see these wavy and curvy lines in the reflection of the chair. Notice how your eye likes to follow those lines. And if you look for a moment at these lines, they almost start to look like fingers with fingernails. So it's very interesting that lines can create this other kind of visual pattern and be different than what we perhaps thought they were originally. The lines in the background are created from the slates of wood, shown in a diagonal pattern. The lines are repeated to create visual importance. So here you can see the diagonal lines in the wooden floor that give the image energy because the lines are active, not static. The lines are diagonal, that's what gives it energy, and straight lines tend to be static and sometimes boring. Harry Callahan did this photograph, LaSalle Street, Chicago, and this image is from the George Eastman House. So there are many lines here in this photograph. Can you describe all the lines that you see? If you said there were lines between the floors of the building or the implied lines for the windows, you would be on your way to sharpening your skills by using the design element line to talk about art. Stephen Shore's Civic Center, 3rd and Buchanan, was photographed in the 1970s. In Stephen Shore's photograph, what lines stand out for you? We all tend to be attracted to different things in the photographs that we look at because of our own personal experiences, and it's shaped by our own history. So think a moment about the lines that stand out for you individually. So as you go through your daily activities and travels from place to place, notice your surroundings and look for lines that make up your personal environment.